Good morning, St. Peter's. Remember, chapter 18, we have our theme that holds all of it together. It's about the children of the Father, keeping each other childish and dependent on God and holding the community together. And now we get to chapter 18, verses 15 through to 20. And here we have a real behaviour. We've talked about the lost sheep, going and searching for the lost sheep. We've talked about making sure the little ones don't fall away. And here you can see how all of this fits together. In today we talk about restoring a brother to community. If your brother sins against you, go and rebuke him in private. And if he listens to you, you've won over your brother. You see, this fits with our theme, connecting all of these bits together in chapter 18 with keeping God's community together. Now, last week or last time, we heard about being childish and dependent on God. That could make us think that keeping the community together is really about us being helpless and leaving it all up to God. But here, Jesus talks about what we do and how we can be active in keeping our community together and keeping each other, displaying childlike trust in God. And that's why he says, here's something active. If your brother sins against you, go and do something about it, about the relationship. And then he goes on about how to do that. Rebuke him in private. If he listens to you, you have won him over. So it's not just about waiting for God, it's actually active restoration. And did you notice here it says, if your brother sins against you? Back in Matthew 5, we saw a few weeks ago, it was if you have sinned against your brother. The point is, holding these two together, Matthew 5 and Matthew 18, we see the impetus is always on you. It's always on the one, whether they're wronged or they've done the wronging or whatever it is. The impetus is on everyone to reconcile the relationship, to keep the relationships warm, to keep possibilities open, to take opportunities where you can to reconcile with a brother. And the reason for that is, if everybody in the community is able to keep the gate open, then that's how you have a community based on forgiveness and love and reconciliation. If you're saying, no, he's done something wrong to me, he needs to come to me, and then we'll restore, you're on the wrong side of it. If you're saying, well, I've wronged him, but there's not much I can do about it now, I'll just let it be. No, Jesus is saying, as children of the Father, we believe in a Father who has loved us, who is forgiveness, who is merciful, and we always take opportunities to not allow relationships to go cold, not to snub or to allow it to kind of fester or to just kind of fizz away. We always take opportunities to have warm, reconciling relationships. The impetus is on, well, it's on you, it's on me, it's on all of us. This is what it is to be children of the Father. And he says, always keep reconciling. Notice he says, the next bit he says, keep going, involve others if your brother won't listen to you. And then he says, involve the church. Now, we could make rules for this, as some have, as in we do step one here with private and then others and then the church. But the point is, you see, the big broad point is don't give up. Keep involving others and encouraging others and encouraging relationships to grow and to be restored. Now, you know what happens when we involve others? What we generally do is we involve others so that they can see we're right and they can see that the other one's in the wrong. Or we involve others so that we can gang up on this person and so we can force them to come back into relationship on our terms. But this is why Jesus has Matthew 5, he has Matthew 18, and you know he also has Matthew 7. And he says, take the log out of your own eye first, and then you'll be able to see clearly. If you haven't done kind of your own heart work and recognition of what you've contributed to the conflict, you can't see it clearly. You think you can, but Jesus says you've got to do you've got to take your log out of your own eye first. That means practically you've got to admit to what you've done to contribute to the conflict. You've got to admit 100% of your 5% whatever it is that you've done, and then you've got to go and reconcile with the aim and a goal of restoring the relationship. You care about the relationship, not of being right, not of proving the other wrong. Always keep reconciling, always involve others, involve the church, keep going. It's a tough word, but it's what Jesus is saying about relationships, reconciliation. And there are times when it won't work and relationship can only go so far. And so he says here, truly I tell you, whatever you bind on earth has been bound in heaven. When 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am with them. It's interesting that Jesus talks about his presence being there with them in terms of forgiveness and reconciliation, because we follow the crucified, risen King who is forgiveness itself and who has loved us and brought us home. That's it for today.